International Women's Day started in 1909 in New York City, so that makes it a bit older than me. And it's the 14th annual Salon Symphony, which is a celebration of international women artists who are currently based in New York City, celebrating other international women artists from their originations. So we've got a fantastic array of artists from all around the world who will be sharing with you tributes to artists from their chosen homelands that they identify with. So I'll give brief introductions to everybody, maybe a couple of fascinating feminist facts, and then we'll just be hopefully inspired by all that we learn about the great work that women artists have been doing throughout time. And I think many of you have already participated in the collaborative art project, which the fabulous Connie Perry has been helping to coordinate at the back. So these are Dear Peace cards, which people are colouring, and then we will send them to the White House to send a positive message of positive behaviour. Okay, so is everybody ready? So there's a bit of talking going on. Awesome. So our first artist is the wonderful Christine Dixon, who is representing the fine, proud, sovereign nation of Canada, yes, which will never ever be the 51st state of anywhere else. Chris made her off-Broadway debut as Harriet Tubman a few years ago, and she's a member of SAG-AFTRA. She's worked on television shows, and she's performed this show that you're about to see a fabulous excerpt from 780 times. Wow. So she's pretty good at it by now. And she gives Cynthia Erivo a run for her money. And also, Chris currently stars in 3 AT&T commercials, so support AT&T. I'm not sure if they're Trump supporters or not, so maybe don't do that. As you may well know, Harriet Tubman is the most well-known of all of the Underground Railroad's conductors, and during a 10-year span, she made 19 trips to the South and escorted over 300 slaves to freedom. As she once proudly pointed out to Frederick Douglass, in all of her journeys, she never lost a single passenger. Here is Christine Dixon.
such a bright time, 'cause my train is heading for Ashanti, granddaughter of an enslaved, brought here in chains from Africa. In the year 1850, the United States Congress said they passed the Fugitive Slave Law Act, which stated that no free state could harbor or shelter any escaped slaves. And every single officer of the law must arrest them and send them back from where they came. So from that point on, I had to travel all the way up to Canada, St. Catharines, Ontario to be exact. And I stayed there. From 1857 to 1867, we traveled by foot. At night, over mountains, through forests, across rivers, and we also had our quilts. This quilt took 6 months to make. We put secret messages in these quilts. So where you see the little blue point, that meant to meet me down by the water. Because dogs cannot follow a human scent through the waters. And when we traveled, we also carried black pepper with us. McCormick, to be exact. And we would sprinkle it down behind us, and the dogs once again would lose our scent. We would travel with raw onions. I already used it walking here from Washington, D.C. I was trying to get away from Doge. And so I put it on my skin. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the raw onions, when you rub them on your skin, the scent would get into our pores, and once again, the dogs would lose our trail. So we did this over and over and over again, and in just a few days, ladies and gentlemen, will be my 203rd birthday. I know I look good, Mary Kay. And so now, all of you are young enough to be my children, so repeat after me. I am enough.
I am enough.
I am worthy.
I am worthy.
I feel rich.
I feel rich.
I feel elegant.
I feel elegant.
I don't care who's president, the universe supports all of my needs. The universe supports all of my needs. Because when folks, now, don't you sing my song. Because when folks get on board, it's always nighttime when they get off. It is such a bright time. My train is heading for freedom. My train. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Harriet. These are the sorts of legendary women that the Salon Symphony is all about celebrating, and that we need to remember now more than ever with so much toxic male energy in the world. We shall overcome. You might have noticed on your seats there's a couple of notices that is the action statement for this year's International Women's Day, which is accelerate action. So they're kind of posted around. So please feel free to hashtag, do whatever you do on the social media, and promote women's equality and action against ongoing misogyny and issues in the world. Excuse me, can you try not to do that? Okay, so next up we have the fabulous nation of Cape Verde, this is their inaugural visit to the Salon Symphony, so we're very excited, and hopefully we'll all get a free holiday there as well. What a beautiful place to go. And here we are celebrating a great nation's independence movement through Cape Verde with the artist Amelia Moore. And she will be representing her aunt, Faith Corday Rivera. So, in the 50th anniversary year of Cape Verde's independence, Amelia is Moore advocates understanding through life experience, the power of one. After bringing the hit Yo MTV Raps, which is exactly how we pronounce it in English, out of their NYC studio to her hometown in New Bedford, Massachusetts, during the Cape Verde independence, she created a summer educational activities program for New Bedford City Parks Department. Amelia has received the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award back when being a president was something to be respected. Which president was it? Biden, a good guy, yeah. And she got that award for helping to stop gun violence in the South Bronx with a program for middle-aged girls in an all-girls step team. Ooh, I wonder if I could do that. Do you sort of age out of that? Never too old? Oh, great. So the McKinley Clovers have starred on TV and travelled the world with their skills. Amelia continues her advocacy, helping to eradicate gender bias through public speaking, poetry workshops, and consulting from the guise of her book, SheEO versus CEO. Something again that the Doge might benefit from, and the muskrat in particular. So Amelia's aunt was Faith Corday Rivera, and she was the baby of 9 siblings and not expected to live past her teens due to a heart condition. But she became instrumental in gaining independence for the Cape Verde Islands from Portugal via her friendship with Amilcar Cabral, co-founder of the PAIGC party and Cape Verde's leader for independence. She's a poet of the people, and Corday received many awards and was most honoured by a plaque from her community saying, "May you live as long as you want, but never want as long as you live." Here is Amelia Moore representing Cape Verde.
This is an honor to be here. I mean, Cape Verde is now going to be celebrating 50 years of independence. This year is July 5th. And as a young girl, when I was born in New York, my parents brought me to New Bedford, Massachusetts, the place that Harriet Tubman stood when that was the last stop of the Underground Railroad, just for me to understand and learn my culture. Cape Verdeanism, I'm proud to be a second-generation Cape Verdean, and my family is now 5 generations deep. So immigration, this is the country of the melting pot, and I represent that with such pride. And for all of you that have that, I salute you as well. So just succinctly, I'm going to read a poem called Warrior, because when you come to this country, you have to have that fighting spirit, to not only hold on to your culture, but also to learn the new culture of the new land of which you've come. And my grandparents their stories are amazing as it relates to that. But my Auntie Corday is my heart, because when she fought for the Cape Verdean Revolution in New Bedford, Massachusetts, the FBI came to her door. They thought she was a communist. And she said, "No, I'm a liberalist. I don't believe in slavery. I don't believe in oppression." And I've taken that for the rest of my life. So with no further ado, I'd like to read Warrior. Now, I am a new poet, so please bear with me, I have to read. Not 700 performances in, but salute to you, Queen.
You got this, you got this. I freed you, you got it.
That's Sister Act. Okay. Warrior, my warrior, always fighting the good fight. What makes you take a stand when everyone else takes flight? Warrior, my warrior, do you do it because it's right? Or do you know it's need to be done? And no one else has your might. Whatever it is, I'm glad you've chosen to fight, because you've paved the way for others to fight. Warrior, my warrior, the battle you fought and the victories you've won, despite all the pain and heartache, you still choose to forge on. Warrior, my warrior, thank you for your courage, fearlessness, and compassion for life. It's what I loved about you. You're exactly what I've chosen to be like. Warrior, my warrior, I carry the torch and continue to fight the good fight, being an advocate for change, like you, for the rest of my life. my warrior.
Thank you, Amelia, and thank you to your aunt, and all power to Cape Verde and all nations across the world that are not attempted to be run by the idiot-in-chief. So, as well as being the 50th year of Cape Verde's independence, it's also the 50th year since the United Nations adopted International Women's Day, which they did in 1975. And so now it's proclaimed a national day for women's rights and international peace to be observed on any day of the year by member states. So different countries honour International Women's Day. Most countries do honour it on the 8th now, but it's kind of an official international celebration of women. So next up, we have another fine nation, the nation of China, which is being represented by Grace Chang, who is a Chinese-American artist, writer, actor and director. She starred in the Joy Luck Club, authored Jin Jin the Dragon in the NYPL collection, New York Public Library, and won the Golden Angel Award for A Missing Piece. And she will be honouring her mother, Min Chand, who enjoyed writing poetry and calligraphy, and she often visited a tea house to watch her father perform. I don't know what he was performing. Tea ceremonies, maybe. And they met through a matchmaker, and their marriage lasted for a lifetime. So there are some good men out there, and many of them are in here today, so thank you, chaps, for joining us. Okay, here we have Grace Chang!
Such an honor to be here and with all of you and celebrate the International Women's Day. We were going to celebrate my mother and together with every woman in this room.
Yeah.
Okay. My mother, well, she's a poet and calligraphy artist, but she chose to spend most of her life taking care of her children and support her famous artist husband, my father. So, and well, she came from a very interesting background. She came from a royal Manchu descent, and during the end of Qing Dynasty, her family was demolished when the Qing Dynasty was gone. And at age 16, she fell in love with a young woman. Young man. And so at the tea house, which is my family's tea house theater, when she mentioned about the tea house. And so at that time, love, you cannot just, this is 1940s. And through a matchmaker, they got married. And they stayed together for life until my father passed at age 85. Yeah. And to honor her, because she's poet, so I brought something to show you. So here's an egg. Okay. So what can egg be poet? Well, we're trying to. This is what I did when I was young. And this is part of the artistic trick my family taught me. And my mother is always there to, help me. So when I'm done with this hand, I'm doing this on this side. So you're just balancing an egg. Okay. So let's see what we can do with an mother always say, with the imagination, anything can happen, even an egg. I see. Come on, do something. Oh, something is happening. Something is happening. Huh? Honor for all of you, okay? Well, let's connect. My Instagram is Grace Chang is here. I'm not there. And website is gracechang.net. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Whoa, was that magic? Can you make money appear? That would be nice. Thank you, Grace Chang, for honouring China. Our next nation is Cuba, which of course has always had a slightly controversial relationship with this country. And it seems today that some shenanigans has gone ahead and messed up the tech for the Cuban contribution today. But our game artist, Marie Perez, is still going to make her contribution, but we don't have the supporting visuals, so maybe I'll try and act them out through the medium of interpreted dance, and then you can praise me afterwards. So Marilyn Delmar Perez was born in 1951, and she's a dynamic multi-genre artist exploring the resonance of the heart, and her work brings lightness to everyday life, even in the wake of tech chaos. She fosters mindful listening and primal navigation. I wonder what that is. And she's a transformative agent, and she turns non-love into love and conflict into harmony. So that's definitely something that we need in the world right now. And she guides others to the torch of freedom. The artist that Ma was wanting to share with everybody, but we'll be doing it just with a commentary now, is Teresita Fernandez, who was born in 1930 in Cuba and was a renowned singer-songwriter. She debuted in 1965 and founded the Peña de los Juglares, which is a hangout with troubadours, 75. And she has numerous accolades, and her songs continue to influence generations with her most popular children's songs, if not her extensive adult repertoire. So here is Ma celebrating Teresita Fernandez.
And since now I can't show the video. Oh, no lights. Maybe we could put some lights on since we don't have the video. I don't know. But we can do it this way. Looks good. Yeah, everybody looks good too. Love your pink, flowery flourish of spring back there. Teresita. Teresita Fernandez, a one of a kind. Icon of Cuba. She wrote incredible poems. One of my favorites is, in an old wash bowl, I planted violets for you, and being close to the river in an empty shell, I gathered a star for you. To the things that are ugly, give them a bit of love. See that the shadows of the colors become clear. She often remarked that she was a teacher who sang. Early in her career, she was far from being with children. That's what she became known for. As the video would have shown, she became known as a children's hour kind of star. But in Havana in 65, late 65s, before the great periods of the Cuban Revolution, she was with the best Cuban musicians. And she had a place, and she had her night. She sang her own stuff. And then she had another club that she had her whole following. She was famous. At the end, she says she wasn't famous, but she was famous, and she calls herself having been a sacred clown, after all, that has passed in her life. Please, I encourage you, because I couldn't show any of it, and there's so much on YouTube. Teresita Fernandez, not the Cuban artist who's living today, who's the architect, the visual artist, but her work, it's incomparable. Part of the reason I think she didn't get the, she got into harm's way, obviously, because she was too outspoken, she was too free, she was just herself. And right after the revolution, with Russia coming in and there was so many controls, you had to fit in, and so she got pretty much blacklisted, and that's why she got boxed into being a story. But at the end, her children became adults listening to her adult music. So that's how it ends with that. There's a wonderful thing she says, and I don't think I even have it here. Maybe it's this. The most beautiful thing, yeah, this is it. She says, the most beautiful thing in my life is not the song that I sing, but it's what happened. What was that story, that moment that still accompanies me when I write that song and I get to sing it for you. I knew her because of my cousin. They both worked at the library in Havana, and I was doing a project on the Cuban cigar, and she was never go anywhere without her cigars. In fact, when she was with the children, when she was waiting for the children, she was just in her own thing. She was smoking a cigar, but the minute the kids came, whoop, there went the cigar.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom Perez. A trooper there in the face of the electricity going on as usual. And yeah, please do check out the artist that she was honouring, Teresita Fernandez. We will post links to that on our Facebook page and social media outlets for as long as we can use those things. Now we have Jolly Old England, who I bet you wished you'd never got rid of. So the fabulous Liz Giuseppe will be honouring one of my home nations. I'm a bit Scottish, and I'll be doing Scotland for you a bit later on with a Scottish leg. So Liz has worked extensively in theatre, both here and in the UK. Most notably, she was in Abigail's Party for the New Group with Jennifer Jason Leigh, and When Harry Met Sally with Luke Perry and Molly Ringwald. And she'll do impressions of that famous scene from When Harry Met Sally upon request, maybe. She's a founding member of the New Ambassadors Theatre Company and co-produced and performed in Blurring Boundaries, their inaugural short play festival. Film and TV includes Fully Furnished, Creative Control, and Christy Mallory's own double entry. She was also in a hilarious parody of The Handmaid's Tale called The Handyman's Tour. And she's recorded over 100 audiobooks and numerous voiceovers and commercials. She is celebrating the English writer Claire Fuller, who was born and raised in Oxfordshire, studied sculpture at Winchester School of Arts in the 80s, and she didn't begin writing fiction until she was 40, so there's hope for us all. She holds a master's degree in creative and critical writing from the University of Winchester, and of the process she told a fellow writer, "Getting the words down is torture. Once they're written, I love rewriting, editing and polishing." She's written 5 novels and numerous short stories, and she won the Desmond Elliott Prize for her first novel, Our Endless Numbered Days. Here is Liz Giuseppe honouring Claire Fuller.
When I found this short story, it really spoke to me because it really reminded me of my childhood and the kind of houses I grew up in. And one of the people in here is called Marjorie, and my grandmother's name was Marjorie. So I thought, I'm going to do this. Here we go. There is a picture of her, but if it doesn't, don't worry. Don't worry. She's a quirky British writer. There we go. The Magic of Scotland by Claire Fuller.
What? Magic of Scotland, where is it?
When I was 12, my second cousin Kirsty said she had discovered Scotland under our great aunt's bed. I remember we were kneeling when she told me, face to face, behind the lavender hedge, amongst the bees. We had been digging in the vegetable patch with silver serving spoons taken from a drawer in our great-aunt's sideboard. Kirsty's top lip had a streak of dirt across it, like a curling moustache. "You can kiss me if you like, Samuel," she said. "And if you do it right, I'll show you Scotland." I knew a country couldn't be under a bed, but I puckered up my lips anyway, shut my eyes, and pressed my closed mouth to hers. When I inclined my head left, then right, like they did in the films, Kirsty jabbed me in the ribs with her spoon and slipped it into the pocket of her dress. "That's enough for now," she said. "Come on, it'll be getting dark soon." It was early afternoon, only 2 o'clock, and although I thought Kirsty's game was childish, she had told me about her discovery with such conviction that I was curious to see what excuse she would come up with when Scotland wasn't there. And, of course, there was always the chance for another kiss. We crept past our great-aunt, who was standing in the pond in her waders, raking out the weeds. "Be good, children," she said with her back to us. The inside of our great-aunt's house was made of dark wood, all beams and low ceilings, like the belly of an ancient ship. The floorboards groaned as we walked across them, and balls of hairy dust tumbled in the corners of the corridors. Although we were alone in the house, Kirsty and I tiptoed upstairs without speaking. When we were outside our great-aunt's bedroom, she told me the rules. "1," she whispered, "you mustn't touch anything." I nodded. "You have to promise." "I promise," I said, rolling my eyes. 2, you have to keep completely silent." She paused, waiting for me. "I promise," I said again. 3, you must stop looking when I say so." "All right." "And you must swear never ever to tell anyone." "Okay," I said. I was bored now and wanted to get it over and done with. "You have to really promise like you mean it," she said. "You have to swear on Great-Aunt Marjorie's life." "I swear on Great-Aunt Marjorie's life that I will never ever tell anyone what I see under her bed." I sniggered and Kirsty frowned. I hadn't been in my great-aunt's bedroom before. It seemed bigger on the inside than the space it took up in the house. The light was dusty as it poured in through the latticed windows. Kirsty put a finger to her lips and indicated with a twitch of her head to follow. At the far end of the room was an enormous 4-poster bed, plump with pillows, cushions and velvet covers that trailed over the floorboards in folds. Kirsty lay on her front, facing the bed, and I got down beside her. "Are you ready?" she whispered. I nodded, holding my breath, despite my scepticism. My second cousin pulled up the bed cover, and we tucked our heads underneath. At first, everything was black, but as my eyelids adjusted to the dark, I could make out a group of pointed shapes about 3 inches high, just below our chins, and I realised they were fir trees, and rolling out beyond them was a brown and green landscape, the pretend scenery of a model railway, but without the train. "That's rubbish," I said, but Kirsty clamped her hand over my mouth, and as she did so, in a dark corner under the bed, a miniature moon emerged from behind a cloud and cast its light over the fluttering waves of a loch. Scotland, with its mountains, glens, lanes and villages, was spread out before us. We watched as below us streetlights flickered into life, and I heard the mosquito whine of a car's gears as it climbed up a steep road. I smelled heather on the soft breeze, and then rain. I saw a thumb-sized woman hurry out of her tiny house in slippers. She ran to her washing line, and just before unpegging the sheets, which were no bigger than postage stamps, she buried her face in them. Together, she and I inhaled the lime-dried, fresh scent of clean linen. I could have watched forever. "Children!" An old lady's voice calling from the garden reminded me that I was lying on the floor in my great-aunt's bedroom. "Samuel! Your mother's here. It's time to go." Kirsty scrambled backwards, pulling me with her, and the bed cover fell back over the panorama. I protested, but she pushed me out of the room. As we were saying our goodbyes, Kirsty came forwards to kiss me again, this time only on my cheek. She hugged me and once more dug her spoon into my wrist. "Ah," said my great-aunt. "How lovely," said my mother. "Remember your promise," Kirsty hissed in my ear. In the car, on the way home, my mother said how pleased she was that Kirsty and I had got on. On the back seat, I lifted my shirt and touched the tender red welts on my skin. Kirsty's warning. "She showed me Scotland," I said, "under Great Aunt Marjorie's bed." "That's nice," said my mother. Within a month, my great aunt was dead. The house was sold, Kirsty moved away, and I never saw Scotland under the bed again.
The only thing that would have made that better is if we'd had an actual live Scottish man with a lovely skirt and nothing on underneath it. And maybe a bagpipe or two, but we didn't have the budget because of the Doge, obviously. Okay, so next up is another very important sovereign nation that needs to be protected from the chaos. It is, of course, the nation of Ukraine, valiantly striving away there. And we have the wonderful artist and academic Sophia Roma, who will be representing Ukraine today. She is a leading and has a leading and distinguished career in arts and entertainment, international law and human rights and higher education. Dr. Roma is renowned international playwright tackling complex issues such as immigration, xenophobia, racism and LGBTQ rights. And she's also an award-winning screenwriter, theatre and film director, international human rights attorney and university professor. Presently she serves as a producing artistic director at the Garden of the Avant-Garde Film and Theatrical Foundation. So we're pretty lucky to have her because she's got quite a lot going on there. So thank you, Sophia, for joining us today. She will be honouring the Ukrainian woman artist whose name I'm probably going to mangle because my Ukrainian's not that hot. Larisa Petrivna Kosak. And on the 25th of February 1871, she was heralded as one of Ukrainian literature's foremost writers, best known for her poems and plays. She was also an active political, civil and feminist activist. And among her best known works are the collection of poems On the Wings of Songs, Thoughts and Dreams, Echoes, the epic poem Ancient Fairy Tale, One Word, Play Princess, Cassandra in the Catacombs and Forest Songs. We'll put all of this information on social media in case you didn't notice it all down when I was talking too quickly just then. Okay, so let's welcome Sophia Roma and Larisa Petrivna.
Humbled and honored to be here today. I'm Sophia Roma, as you heard, and happy International Women's Day. I'm facing women and some men. My love for women is it runs oceans and borders, cross borders. I fight for international human rights, but I'm also, I write about that. I started off at La Mama, and now I represent migrants from Ukraine and children and refugees. And it's a difficult time, as you might imagine. I'm humbled to be, I just visited Scotland right now through that, no, not literally, but through under the bed. And I'm in a church, and the lady that I'm honoring was very, very religious, and her work was imbued with religion at a time when you might imagine in the when the Soviet bloc came together, religion was not allowed. It was, obviously outlawed at some point. So she was a heralded religion prior to its escapism and then eventual annihilation for that 75 years that we had communism, living under the Iron Curtain. And at which point many artists, many writers, many from the community of the LGBTQ, many people suffered in general at the hands of the NKVD and the hounding of the Soviet police, the secret police. So I wrote a poem in honor, but I used much of her symbolism and what she liked to use in her writing as well. And she was a fantastic poet and a wonderful playwright, a dramatist. So this is called She Sat Weaving. In the early afternoon, she sat weaving with her snow-white curls and twisted metal eyeglasses, horror stories to frighten the children away. She never wept out of anger, my grandmother, Ukrainian, proud and steadfast, but only from fear. She cried with the painful tears of ages, swept carelessly under bloated Persian rugs, swollen with the bitter years of tyranny and battling over brutality. Like her bruised ankles, she opened the windows wide, so wide to let the sun seep in lest it fail to warm her ever again or the rest of the Ukrainian nation. She swung her arms apart, so far apart that it appeared that she was devoid of spirit, human spirit, welcoming that devil dancing inside of her, but praying for the angels to set in like soft rain. She was old now, my grandmother, Ukrainian, tall and proud, but well-tempered like an out-of-tune Steinway piano, which had lost all grace, and was chipped at the base where the cherry wood once glistened with the flickering candlelight, in the spirit of humanity and religion. Grandma, my Ukrainian grandma, was not a monster, yet she was no one's friend, certainly not the friend of the government's. Neither was I. She faded away that strange musical evening, while the purple sky cast shadows on her blue-veined cheeks as Father Death performed his fade-out miracle on Mother Time. The neighbors made merry, celebrating a life lived on imaginary stale bread and holy water. She kept her religion, laying low bets on a rosary count and wicked blows on the crumpled, crippled lives of others, mutilated by tyranny and its hand. Grandma never really cared or dared to know what happened to her culture, her people. She just felt inside this pain. It was obvious. It was there for everyone to touch. It was palpable. And now the burgundy of wine is poured and the bagpipes play because she dreamed of Scotland. But there she will be buried. Who knows? That sneaky demon. Who knows how the Scottish aging maiden, in an imaginary way, this proud Ukrainian, how she ever had her hardcore way. Thank you. I'll just say one thing. So her name is Lesia Ukrainka. There's no such name. Ukrainka is an homage to the Ukrainian people, the Ukrainian land. And she changed that to show that she was in love with Ukraine. And that's why her name was Ukrainka. Thank you so much.
So much Scotland today. What does it all mean? Possibly the only safe place to be at those times. I have some quotations here from various famous women throughout time, and one of them is from Betty Friedan. Has anyone heard of her?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you? Who is she?
She was very important
She not?
in terms of politics.
Feminist writer.
I'll do more homework next time.
Betty
Sorry.
Friedan?
Betty Friedan.
Okay, you said Betsy.
Well, I said Betty, but I don't know who she is anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so what she said was, no woman gets an orgasm from shining the kitchen floor. So I'm certainly a #1 fan now. Okay, so thank you so much to Sophia Roma honouring Ukraine at such an important time in her nation's history. Now we will fly across the few oceans to the fabulous nation of Japan, being represented by Yukiko Nagata. And Yukiko was born and raised in Japan, and she relocated to New York City in 1993. She creates both crafts for events and pop-up shops, as well as fine art pieces. And her work uniquely repurposes recycled and reclaimed materials, transforming discarded items into art, which is amazing. I've seen loads of her stuff. It's really cool. And especially since there is now no climate change policy in this country, Yuki might save us all. And you can follow her on Instagram at Scrap Artisan. Yuki will be honouring Akiko Yosana, who stands among Japan's most celebrated poets of the late 19th and early 20th century, distinguished by her uninhibited, passionate writing style that defies gender convention of the era. And remarkably, she was raising 13 children at the time, woo! And she served as the primary breadwinner for her family. So let's find out more about this amazing Japanese woman, Akiko Yosano, with Yuki Nagata.
Can you hear me? Yes. I'm a little Asian woman, so I'm always worried that people can't hear me. And the poet I'm going to honor today, she was also a little Japanese woman, but she had a lot of passion, and she was really honest to herself. And her name is Akiko Yosano, and she was born in 1878, and she died 1942. And she was born at a wealthy merchant family, and she familiarized herself with books of her father's, and she was writing poems since her childhood. And her style of poem is the kind of short poem. It's a fixed verses. You know haiku, right? 575. She was writing the things, the short poem called tanka, which is 7 was added at the end of 575. So 14 syllables longer than haiku. That's a kind of poems she was mainly writing. But not only that, she also translated The Tale of Genji. I don't know, some might know, that was written in early 11th century, also by a woman, a lady in waiting at the court. And that was a fabulous long story, but she translated it from old archaic Japanese to modern Japanese. And if you have a chance, please read it. That's really kind of a spectacular story. So if you have a chance, please read it too. And so Akiko is, she was kind of, the famous for her very the free and the passionate style. And she met also a fellow poet. His name is Tekkan Yosano. And she fell in love with him, but he was married at that time, so she basically took him from his wife and married. But they were really, really deep in love, and after they got married, her husband, Tekkan's poem didn't really well, it didn't sell, so he got into slump, and they had total 12 children. So they had to have some income. So she took any kind of writing assignment, better paid or bad paid. And so she basically became a breadwinner. She supported family for a long period of time. And I remember that my high school teacher told me that Akiko, she was a famous, even, from her time, she was very famous. So at the time of poets meeting or the big press release events, she came with her children, sometimes infant on her back, and didn't dress up at all. So the people didn't really recognize that she was the famous poet. So she was that kind of person. So I'm going to introduce her poems, and first I read in Japanese, and after that, translate into English. And the first one is, その子20歳、串に流るる黒髪の、おごりの春の美しきかな。The girl is 20. Glossy long black hair flows and shimmers when she combs. Beauty of her youth, filled with pride. The next one. やわ肌の熱き血潮に触れもみで寂しからずや道を解く君 Are you not lonely? without even touching the hot trickle of blood beneath my soft skin, you who preach the way of man. 胸の清水あふれてついに濁りけり、君も罪の子、我も罪の子。My love for you has overflown from my heart like a well of fresh water. And that fresh water turned murky at last. You and I are both sinful beings. 海恋し潮の戸なり数えては乙女となりし父母の家。I miss the ocean of my hometown, counting the sound of waves coming from far away. Home of my parents, where I grew up to be a little girl.
Fantastic tribute. Always great to hear some other languages as well. So I just checked out Betty Friedan via the Wikipedia, so I know all about her now. And her second wave feminism and her did she write the book Feminine Mystique or something?
Yes.
Yeah, so we've all got a bit of that inside us, I think. So now we have another nation that's kind of been suffering a lot recently at the hands of the imperialist West. Palestine is being represented. I do hope nobody's on their phone in the middle of this fascinating presentation. Catherine Fazio received the Silla Gold Crown World Peace Literature Prize from Korea, and her poem War, currently being translated into Chinese, was translated into French and televised in Haiti. Her book, A Taste of Hybrid Vigour, New Poems of War, Passion and Social Significance, includes renditions of her oil paintings. And today, Catherine will be honouring the Palestinian artist Samir Halabi. And Samir is a prolific visual artist considered to be a trailblazer in contemporary abstract art internationally. And in her renowned paintings, Halabi draws inspiration from nature and historical movements, such as early Islamic architecture and the Soviet avant-garde, back when Soviet avant-garde was cool. And it's also heralded as an innovative thinker, educator and activist. Catherine Fazio!
I wanted to talk about Samia Halabi. And Samia Halabi is very close to me. When you think about the Halabis as artists in the Arab world, they are very, very significant. And, well, this changed, but the last painting that was up from Samia Halabi was a response. Can you get it back? I don't know.
Yeah, I can get it back.
It's, okay. Okay. It was a response to COVID, this one. She doesn't usually use this style. Samia, I want to tell you, she's my family, so she took this war destroys families, and she has a big heart, and everything is joy and color. This she was experimenting because she had plenty of time to just doodle. Can we go to the next one?
Yeah.
I want to tell you that she talks, when she paints, she has in mind like sort of a choir of things. Color is very important to her. And she says that what she concerns herself with is light and depth. She aims to remove perspective, remove shading, and removes and shape, so that there's a whole. And she would really not like Palestine as being boxed in, because what Samia Halabi always thought was travel widely. A good artist knows Chinese. She's been to China. She's been to Japan. And she's going to Switzerland right now, and she's 89. This woman is a trailblazer. She's an advocate, obviously, against racism, about sexism. She was the first woman who exhibited at the Guggenheim. She's all over. First Palestinian. Now, she was the first woman to be the associate professor at Yale, the boys' club at Yale, for 10 years. And then fighting discrimination, and she didn't like being boxed in as a woman. Oh, am I good? Am I not good? Why are you boxing me in? She didn't like that. And after 10 years of being that, Yale didn't really want to have her be tenured. She had to fight for that. They decided we don't want to have a tenured professor anymore as a woman in the school. So she fought that. She had to fight. She fought all the time to have people see her as herself, as a painter who was worthwhile, as an advocate who cared about vulnerable populations. She had such a heart. She changed everything into optimism. I mean, I've had tea with her. She's like my family. And you can't talk about, someone once said to me, well, I thought you were Syria. This garb I'm wearing is from Syria. My family was from Aleppo, Syria. But you can't, Syria was cut into five pieces. So my mother used to have a donkey that would go across. There were no barriers. I mean, and a horse. So these constructs of boundaries, they hurt her. But what saved her was her younger years focusing on the beauty of Palestine, Jerusalem, and the beauty of nature. And what she does is she doesn't like stagnant art. She believes in movement. I'm going to wrap it up now. But I will tell you that she deals with beauty and joy and nature. She's explorative and experimental. And like Turner, who stood in front of a locomotive and rode on the train to see light, she wants to, that's her goal, to capture light and depth. And if Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo could cut a Godiva up to see the technology of their time, she was going to master the computer, and she did. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm sorry to rush you through, but we want to have some tea and cake. And we've got a few more artists to honour, especially a Scottish one. But obviously it's very important that we do kind of know what's going on in the Middle East as well, because it's important. But now we're going to go to another part of the world, also a sovereign nation, called Panama, that has its very own canal. Thankfully the Americans were able to make some money out of by building, and that was very nice of them. But it is still Panamanian. So Helen Peterson will be representing that fabulous country. She is a published poet, a flamenco dancer. Maybe we'll get some lessons later. An oral storyteller, educator, and visual artist. She's lived the first 15 years of her life in Panama, and she loves the plants and animals of the jungle. And she's received a Geraldine Dodge Foundation Fellowship for Rainforest Research and Preservation in 1988. How fabulous. Helen will be honouring the Panamanian artist Maria Souzo, who uses her hand-stitched artwork to help conserve her indigenous culture and endangered species of Panama through international organisations such as the International Fund for Animal Welfare. She displays her creations with unique folkloric patterns. The vibrant colours and shapes symbolise the flora and animals of Panama. Here is Helen Peterson.
Thank you. Isn't it wonderful to see so many of you here for celebrating International Women's Day? My congratulations. Now, you probably have been hearing about Panama in the news. Panama is a country I know about from living there for the first 15 years of my life. And I really enjoyed walking through the jungle. I still love the flora and fauna of the jungle. I also found it intriguing to see the Kuna women wearing their colorful and artistic dress. This dress it's called the mola, and the mola is so much a part of their culture that when the government of Panama told them they can't wear it, they put on a revolt, and they won autonomy from the Panama government.
All right.
So it is my honor to, well, introduce, to honor Maria Suzo. We had her picture here in a moment ago.
Get her back? All right.
Yeah, wouldn't you? Yes, Maria, please come back to us. Oh, here she is. Isn't she pretty? Well, anyway, she's wearing the bandana, which is in the tradition of the Kuna. She's also handcrafting shark keychains for welcome of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, which was in Panama in 2019. So why sharks? Sharks are endangered in the Pacific waters touching the coast of Panama, to such an extent that UNESCO has a shark sanctuary in those waters. In the next photo, you can see mola purses made in the design of the mola dress. And Maria has hand-stitched endangered species of Panama. The first, the shark, I mentioned. The second, the crystal frog, so named because of its transparent belly. This little green frog is traded as pets to such a degree that they have become unsustainable. The jaguar, also endangered because of deforestation and poaching for their pelt. You see this logo here, International Foundation of Animal Welfare. So you see, Maria collaborates her art with conservation organizations. And that's why I honor her.
Thank you, Helen, and some fabulous artwork and important animal activism there. Well, it's my favourite part of the Salon Symphony, where we get to honour the fantastic nation of Scotland. If only we had one of them papers, that would make my life complete. So, I will be honouring Ali Smith, who is a prize-winning author of many works of fiction, and her awards include the Whitbread Award, the Scottish Book Award, and the Bailey's Women's Prize for Fiction. She was shortlisted for both the Orange Prize and the Man Booker Prize. Autumn is part of a seasonal quartet of novels and was one of the New York Times 10 Best Books of the Year in 2017. The Guardian described it as a beautiful, poignant symphony of memories, dreams and transient realities, the endless sad fragility of mortal lives. Born in Inverness, Scotland, Smith lives in Cambridge, England. She's defected. Dreadful. So this is a passage from the book Autumn, which it's a really great novel, and it's got really big writing, so it's quite quick to read, which I quite like. But it's it has loads of poetry within the book, as well as kind of having themes of sort of nationalism, and it's about love and death and stuff. But it's kind of written in the post-Brexit world, and this particular passage sort of concerns a response to what happened in the United Kingdom after that utter travesty of a decision. All across the country there was misery and rejoicing. All across the country, what had happened whipped about by itself as if a live electric wire had snapped off a pylon in a storm and was whipping about in the air above the trees, the roofs, the traffic. All across the country, people felt it was the wrong thing. All across the country, people felt it was the right thing. All across the country, people felt they'd really lost it. All across the country, people felt they'd really won. All across the country, people felt they'd done the right thing and other people had done the wrong thing. All across the country, people looked up on Google, what is EU? All across the country, people looked up on Google, move to Scotland. All across the country, people looked up Google, Irish passport applications. All across the country, people called each other cunts. All across the country, people felt unsafe. All across the country, people were laughing their heads off. All across the country, people felt legitimised. All across the country, people felt bereaved and shocked. All across the country, people felt righteous. All across the country, people felt sick. All across the country, people felt history at their shoulder. All across the country, people felt history meant nothing. All across the country, people felt they counted for nothing. All across the country, people had pinned their hopes on it. All across the country, people waved flags in the rain. All across the country, people drew swastika graffiti. All across the country, people threatened other people. All across the country, people told people to leave. All across the country, the media was insane. All across the country, politicians lied. All across the country, politicians fell apart. All across the country, politicians vanished. All across the country, promises vanished. All across the country, money vanished. All across the country, social media did the job. All across the country, things got nasty. All across the country, nobody spoke about it. All across the country, nobody spoke about anything else. All across the country, racist bile was general. All across the country, people said it wasn't that they didn't like immigrants. All across the country, people said it was about control. All across the country, everything changed overnight. All across the country, the haves and the have-nots stayed the same. All across the country, the usual tiny percent of the people made their money out of the usual huge percent of the people. All across the country, money, 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 money. All across the country, no money, no money, no money, no money. All across the country split in pieces. All across the country's cut adrift. All across the country was divided. A fence here, a wall there, a line drawn here, a line crossed there, a line you don't cross here, a line you better not cross there, a line of beauty here, a line dance there, a line you don't even know exists here, a line you can't afford there, a whole new line of fire, line of battle, end of the line, here, there. Now we have the fabulous nation of Switzerland, represented by Marie-Christine. I think in my excitement to be Scottish, I left my notes about Marie-Christine behind. So do you want to come on and just introduce yourself? Yes. She's going to talk about some family members who have an amazing legacy in Switzerland and honouring a particular poet.
Writer, globetrotter.
Here we go. Here is Marie-Christine representing Switzerland. Thank you.
Hello everybody. What a wonderful experience to see all of you here. This song sings the beauty of Val d'Anivier. Au lit redondé, I dream of being back in Val d'Anivier. Val d'Anivier was also the home where I grew up. I grew up in Val d'Anivier and so did my grandmother and my aunt Pauline. And then Ella Maillard, a fantastic writer and globetrotter, chose to make Val d'Anivier the home of her end of years. And so I want to honor 3 women that have deep roots, had deep roots, because they all passed away, unfortunately, in Val d'Anivier. And so let's start with Ella Maillard. Who was Ella Maillard? She was a writer, a globetrotter. In the 1930s, she was traveling all around Russia, India, Afghanistan. An amazing writer, photographer. And so Ella Maillard and my grandmother, Marie, my favorite grandmother, and my aunt Pauline, 3 fierce and courageous women born at about the same time in the mountainous region of Switzerland. Ella was as free as breeze, one of the great travelers of the 20th century. She lived a life to the fullest and on her own terms, a pioneer, a photographer, a woman ahead of her time. She was meandering across Asia and then spent the last few years in a chalet in Chandola. Maillard was the author of 8 books and left 16,000 photographs of her journey. In her home village of choice, Chandola, she spent the autumn of her life in a chalet named Achala, after Shiva, unmovable mountain. To this day, she is regarded by the villagers as a celebrity, if not as a local saint. As for my grandmother, semi-nomadic, life spent carrying for others and keeping a firm green eyes on her husband's fragile sobriety. He, a truck driver, was often accompanied by Marie as he delivered wood and stone up and down the vertiginous mountain road. Marie created intricate needlepoint as they were driving, and she made sure he would not stop at the cafe for a drink. Overnight, she and Joseph laid the foundation of her house. Overnight, so as to bypass the law, it became the village cafe called La Bergère. In the end, Marie was a protector, a traveler to far places in her mind. Pauline, my great-aunt, was married to Marie's brother, a true healer. She burned knotted lines of yarn, and in doing so was removing ache, pain, and words of the villagers. She lived in the edge of that village. To my knowledge, Ella never met Marie or Pauline. However, they all have made remarkable differences in a life of people who had the chance and the privilege to know them. I would like to read a little passage from Ella's fantastic writing. Et maintenant, pourriez-vous me demander après tant d'années? And now, could you ask me after so many years, What is the balance that you can establish between lived experience and dream, between the imaginary and the journey to the land of the real? The dream inspired by the fabulous name that will guide your life. There will be so much to say. In short, the shock experience of the new, the pleasure of the various, always renewed, slowly matured me, I hope. And finally, I began to live in the country that is nowhere, and the real home, purpose of every true journey. She was so deeply ingrained into doing an internal journey, and one of her sentences is, one of the main points about traveling is to develop in us a feeling of solidarity, that oneness without which no better world is possible. Those three fabulous women had one other thing in common. They all knew Latin. And I would love to sing a song with you that is in Latin. And it was written by Mozart. And I am terribly thirsty, I'm sorry. Wow, that's nerves. It was written by Mozart, and it's called Dona Nobis Pacem. I think you know it. We will just sing one line together, and then we'll hum it. And Dona Nobis Pacem means grant us peace. We need it, don't we? Yeah. Don't we? Yes. Yes. Parfaitement. Dona nobis pacem, pacem. That same sentence again. Dona nobis pacem, pacem. And now please close your eyes. And for a moment think of peace that we are all longing for, that sanity. On this day, for our country, for the world, and we will hum that sentence together. For Ella, for the Mary of the world, for the Pauline of the world, for all the magnificent, not only women, but magnificent men in this world. Let's just think of peace. And Dona nobis pacem, grant us peace. Thank you very much.
Swiss with all their linguistic capabilities, I don't know. And that was lovely to be able to pause and meditate for a second, because that will surely get us through if we don't forget to breathe. You know, that will help us all. And also I appreciate you mentioning the importance of men in this fight for peace, which is kind of an oxymoron. But we have another quotation here from Aung San Suu Kyi of Myanmar, who we don't have any representatives here today, so let her words suffice. And she said, in societies where men are truly confident of their own worth, women are not merely tolerated but valued. So we appreciate the good men out there for sure. So we still have a few fabulous women artists left to celebrate today. Next up we have the nation of Taiwan, another important sovereign state, not threatened unusually by America this time, but perhaps another large nation close by. And we have Felicia Lin, who is a producer and host of Talking Taiwan, which is the longest running Taiwan-related podcast, and it's a Golden Crane Podcast Award winner, now 10 years and counting. And she is a Taiwanese American who was raised in Canada land. And she will be honouring the first female president of Taiwan, whose name I will probably mangle because my Chinese is not great, Tsai Ing-wen. And she was Prime Minister from 2016 to 2024, and she's of the Hakka and Indigenous Paiwan descent. She has a master's and doctorate degree in law, and in the 1990s, she was the negotiator that paved the way for Taiwan to join the World Trade Organization. So here is Felicia Lin.
Her first run for the presidency was in 2012, but it was not her time. She lost. 4 years later, in 2016, she ran again. And here's what they said back then. She's single. She's childless, reserved, and standoffish. Voters were not swayed. Her victory was not delayed. During her term, Taiwan became the first country in Asia to legalize same-sex marriage. And the Transitional Justice Commission, it began healing generations of damage. The second time around, another 4 years later, was no piece of cake. It was not hers to take. She was challenged by her party for the presidential nomination. Then came more speculation. She's a skirt-wearing, cat-loving, single woman cat lady. Oh, that's shady. That definitely makes her unfit to be commander-in-chief. Are you hearing this? I'm in disbelief. What else you got? Isn't there something wrong with a woman who's never bore a child? She's emotionally unstable, erratic, aloof, and a little too mild. The lady's half Hakka, half Paiwan. But guess what? She still got re-elected President of Taiwan. And in that role, she's been the protector of the people of Taiwan's dignity. As the PRC's military planes have breached Taiwan's ADIZ with impunity. Then, when the global pandemic hit, Taiwan was 8 months COVID-free. Keeping the peace across the strait is not an easy job. Pick and choose which battles to win, which battles to lose, to safeguard the freest country in Asia. Peace-loving Taiwan. She said that she's the happiest just playing with her cats. After serving 2 terms, there's no more bureaucrats. Taiwan's Iron Cat lady can now just be happy with her fur baby.
Dog women unite, I say. Although dogging is an entirely different practice in England, as you may be aware. Anyway, so fantastic work, Felicia. Thank you so much for sharing insights into a fantastic Catwoman of the East. We're coming close to the end, so we have the penultimate artist is from Transylvania. Oh yeah, but before we move on to the million, let me just share a quote from Margaret Atwood, who, to Felicia's point about how dangerous women are. Margaret Atwood once said, "Does feminist mean large, unpleasant person who will shout at you, or someone who believes women are human beings?" To me, it's the latter, so I sign up. Good old Margaret. It's a shame that she was such a great predictor of the future when she wrote The Handmaid's Tale. So Vermilion is representing the nation of Transylvania, and she is an independent performer, writer and artist who has been active in New York City's cultural community since 2001. Her visual artwork has been presented at notable New York City venues, including Galapagos Art Space, Manhattan Theatre Source, there's some fans of that in here today, up the Source, the Moth Bowery Poetry Club, and her present incubator, the Fountain House Gallery. After returning to acting, she developed a solo storytelling show on cats and dogs. Oh my God! What a smooth segue. And other family revelations during her 2023 Fountain House Gallery summer residency on Governor's Island, and in Adam Way's Magnet Theatre solo workshop. After premiering at the 2024 NYC Fringe Festival, it's been part of other festivals, and the next show, shameless plug, is on March the 18th, coming right up, ladies and gentlemen. The entire story collection is gathered in a limited edition book 2, which maybe you can purchase off Vermilion at some point. So today, Vermilion will be honouring the Transylvanian-born artist Christina Szabó. She'll pronounce it. What she says. Who's from the ancient city of... which is in the heart of Transylvania, and she studied at the Institute of Fine Arts, which fulfilled a lifelong dream of penetrating the mysteries of creation in painting. Her painting was influenced by post-impressionism and especially by the expressionist movement, but her own style uses a lot of imagination to give meaning to happenstance. This results in fantastic elements as if sprung from the process of the evolution of life on Earth. Christina is currently working on a series of paintings on the antithesis between creationism and evolutionism, which will be part of the solar exhibition. So here is Vermilion!
You've heard it. So now I'm going to talk about something else. I'm going to talk about what do I need to do? Louder? Okay.
Flashlight is on your phone. Look at your phone, the other side of your phone. The flashlight is on. Turn it on.
Thank you.
My eyes.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. All right. Let's get started all over again. I want to say a few words about the place both Christina and I come from. She's still there because it would put into perspective why I chose her. Transylvania, I'm sure that many of you think that it's a Hollywood concoction full of vampires and ghouls and whatnot. But it is a real geographic area. I'm doing this for Christina. Real geographic area that is a mixture. We live together. I'm here now. We live together there. Hungarian people, Romanian people, a smattering of German people. Most of them flew to Germany and fled to Germany, and gypsy people. It belonged to Hungary, to Romania, it was to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and now it's a economically blossoming territory. For some reason, a lot of Dutch people moved there, and there are a lot of major corporations, international corporations. I guess the Dutch people fled because they could buy cheap property, and we are inland, so when the floods are starting, in Holland, with the climate change, I guess they'd rather be in Transylvania. We welcome them, we welcome everybody. We were all along our lives most of us speak several languages from the time that we were small. So we all, I think I'm okay. I'm gonna still speak a bit more, yeah? We were from where was I? No, I'm serious. Yeah, so to us it's no big deal, you know. Now you have more people of Romanian citizenship. They are more outside the country than inside the country. I don't know if you know Romania.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if you visited there. You might have found that the people are very warm, but the politics are as messed up there as they are here. The same terrible things happen. An illiterate candidate who is pro-Putin was almost elected. Meanwhile, the Russians funneled money, heavy money, millions of dollars in his TikTok accounts and all kinds of things. And he was claiming that he'd got no sponsorship from the Russians, but luckily they didn't. They annulled the elections, and the other candidate was a woman that, though very capable, you know, it's still a patriarchal society, and they would say, well, a woman is to be veneered because she's a giver of life, but she cannot be ruling a country. So we'll see. They are running it over again. I went very far away from Christina. I just want to say that besides her beautiful art, she has a very tolerant attitude towards everybody, a very progressive way of embracing change and know how to get things done. I worked with her, I went there touring, and she organized several events for me. And I do hope that I'll end up creating an event in which artists from Romania, from Transylvania come here. We do hope that we'll create together an artist retreat camp on her property, but these are just dreams for now, and I don't want to outstay my welcome.
Woo, where would that happen? Sounds like it'd be a good, Transylvania sounds like it'd be a good refuge for all those dangerous trans people around the world. Maybe that's what the cretin-in-chief has already considered. So I always try and refer to like some of the historical bases for what we're doing, and this is kind of an event that celebrates women from history as well as the here and now. And of course, one of the founding sisters of feminism was the British woman Mary Wollstonecraft, who in 1792, which was quite a few years ago, wrote A Vindication of the Rights of Woman, and we still need to observe what she said. And just reading, obviously they didn't have telly back then, so sometimes they overwrite a bit. But the front of her book is quite instructive, and it just says, "It is time to effect a revolution in female manners, time to restore them to their lost dignity and make them as a part of the human species." We're still fighting that fight. No surrender, sisters and brothers. But before we bring on Sam, I do want to say that after Sam we do have an amazing special tribute for today from Marla Mosman, who will be talking about the intersection of art and peace, which is what we're all about. I actually saw some performers at the Out of Egypt exhibition at the Metropolitan Museum a few weeks ago, and they were like a jazz quartet, and the lead said something like, "We are currently in an age of artificial intelligence, AI. What we need to do is be in an age of IA, which is intelligent artists." So I just want to say a few thank yous before we have our Marla talking about the Peace Caravan. So thank you to Sam for doing the tech, and Marie Christine as well for helping with the tech. Thank you to our stage manager, artist coordinator, Kate, who's back there beavering away. And also Stephanie and Alexis, who've been helping with everything. Barbara, who was hopefully extorting money from you at the front door. It will all go to a good cause to support women artists in need. Thank you to Connie, who has been helping on the art table over there on our collaborative art piece. So please do colour a card and send a message of peace if you want. We're going to stick them all on the dove when we finish and then take pictures, and then we're going to send them all off to the White House, and maybe that alone will make the world a better place. We can but hope. And Dee Dee, thank you as well. Dee Dee's been amazing over there setting up our tea party and refreshments, which will be available in just a few minutes. And Annie for videoing. Thank you, Annie. So, now I introduce to you Marla Mosman, who is an award-winning international photographer and filmmaker interested in the human condition. She's the founder artistic director of the Peace Caravan Project, which is a non-profit art project to overcome prejudice by documenting diverse cultures and religions. Mosman is the former United Nations press representative for the Diplomatic Society. Here is Marla Mosman.
Traveling on the Silk Road as part of my Peace Caravan project in 2007 and 2008 on a journey through the Middle East when I got a very informative alert that Kashgar, the ancient city that's on the border of China and Pakistan, was now being bulldozed by the Chinese government to make room for a new economic zone. As I document via video and photography, it is my hope that we achieve understanding, respect, and acceptance and tolerance of these ancient traditions, and so we are all connected in this new way of finding peace. To places that are kind of dangerous and survivors of war. I'm a woman that wants to represent equality and peaceful coexistence, and I use my art to express that. I go into mosques and synagogues and temples so that we can look at each other and find equality. But what really moves me is I go into the homes and I find that I'm drawn to the women and the mothers and the homes, because I feel that they're the embodiment of culture. And so I want to take you, this is the wedding of Monsieur Turdi and her son. She's the mother of the bride. Notice that little fascinator. It's so unique to that culture. She makes them herself, and all the Uyghur women make them. And they wear them on special occasions, funerals and weddings. But in the little video trailer that I showed you, I want to talk about the music of Sanowar Tursun at the very end. If you could bring up the images, all the photographs. Sanowar Tursun is a famous Uyghur singer, all of them, just the whole folder. And she,
these were the only ones that we had.
And she was disappeared. I was so moved by her music, and she was disappeared in 2019 because all of these people are now taken into concentration camps. And she was supposed to be going to a performance in Shanghai, and she never showed up. And she then reappeared. There was a huge international outcry. But many of these people, they don't exist anymore. There was a human rights in Australia that 1,200 mosques have now been demolished. These women, this is their home, this is their baby, it's beautiful. So all of these people, the Uyghur culture, they're the creators of this instrument that she was playing, this tambour. They're the creators of unique culture that is a Tajikan, anyways. So also I wanted to talk about, in the last frame, you saw me holding a woman, and we're standing side by side. She's living in a 500-year-old home. She doesn't have any children. So that home is going to be taken away from her when she passes. And all of these people have lost their home. This Uyghur culture living, what drew me to this area was that Kashgar.
Which one is yours?
Oh, okay.
Kashgar, it's a 2,000-year-old city that stood on the edge of the Silk Road. Its architecture is very unique. Okay, let's go through. Okay, this is one of the homes that I went to in the village that was being demolished, and these people still live there. Let's go through the next frame. If you can bring them all up. Let's bring up this one. Oh, let's go back. Let's bring up this one. So inside that home is this.
Oh, wow.
A new baby.
Oh.
Takshakur. That's what I learned when I travel. I listen to what Nelson Mandela says. When you speak to a person in a language they understand, that goes to their head. But when you talk to them in their language, that goes to their heart. And so I learned delicious and beautiful and lovely and thank you. And so this is a new baby. She's living in that home. They lived there for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Let's go to another slide. And so let's go to this one. This is women. They come together when you move into when you get married, you move into the home of your husband. And you learn the way that he cooks. These are people are making the dumpling that we now is famous, right? That we learn all the dumplings. This is what they're making, and they all come together. Let's go to another slide. Let's go to this one. This is Tashkargan on the border of Pakistan. Highest mountains, the Pamirs, K2. This is Tajiki woman living in a yurt. And this is just amazing. And their whole family lives together, you can see. Let's go to another slide.
Can we lower the light, please?
Let's go to this one.
Lower the lights.
This is, remember Mrs. Turdy with the fascinator?
Yeah.
This is inside her the wedding. This is all, you can see how they keep warm with all the blankets and stuff and the children. It's very beautiful. I could talk for hours about this, but let's go to another slide.
That's a cute baby.
This home is, this is a typical Uyghur home. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's unique architecture that is exemplified and unique to all Asia. And all of this molding is very beautiful. All of this is now destroyed. Let's go to another slide. Isn't she beautiful?
Yeah.
See the children, the jade diggers?
Wow.
I'll end with that. So these people, these women, they live, this is her daughter, they're living there. The Jade River was the origin of the Silk Road. It's where they find white jade. It comes down from the Kundu Mountains and Mount Kailash. And it's been so overly dug up that they're now digging into the riverbed. Okay, and they're finding jade, and they have to live there, sleep there, and if they find a piece of jade like this, it could make them wealthy for generations. And so, you saw me. I was in the jade black market photographing there, and this is how they make a living. This is in an area called Kiria. We're on the border of Taklamakan Desert, and so all of this is finished. It's over. They don't exist anymore. They're being reschooled into a Han Chinese way of life. And so I want to honor them and honor their traditions. And that's what we're doing today. Thank you.
So thanks everybody. I hope that's been entertaining, interesting, inspiring and rejuvenating. Hopeful maybe. Please do help yourselves to some tea and cake and contribute to the art project. And yeah, keep following us on social media and don't give up the fight.
And I'd like to say thank you to Jenny Green for
that's here all through the year. So please come back for another one. Make sure your email contact is on there. Get our mailing list. Enjoy. Do your peace message. Thank you for being here, everybody. Thank you all the artists. Thank you all